Now for more on this, we're being joined by Edward P. Joseph, a political analyst and a senior fellow at the Johns Hopkins University School of Advanced International Studies from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Always a pleasure to have you.
Good to be with you.
Sir, of course, you've heard the decision. What do you think will be the impact of this? Do you reckon Israel is getting increasingly isolated at the global stage?
I think there's no question that Israel is isolated. Israel's been isolated for some time. But the question is, what will be the positive impact from the decision by Ireland, Norway, and Spain to recognize a Palestinian state? Will it actually lead to any positive outcome? I think that's the real question here. And of course, everyone knows, the United States knows, President Biden knows that the only solution is a two-state solution. And the question is how to get there. And this recognition by Spain, Norway, and Ireland, it's hard to see how that advances the actual cause of achieving its two-state solution and achieving both security for Israel and justice, dignity, and security as well for Palestinians. It's hard to see that because if we look back, what is the obstacle to this? It's not that there's an obstacle only on one side. There's been an inability, despite intensive efforts led by the United States, that actually produced offers by Israel. The most recent one, and many people forget this, in 2008, by then Prime Minister Ehud Olmert, who made a concrete and apparently quite plausible offer, and the current president of the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, rejected it. Back in 1999, Yasser Arafat failed to provide a counteroffer to the offer put on the table by then Prime Minister Ehud Barak. And that was brokered, of course, by President Bill Clinton. And third, of course, we have the historical rejection back of the UN partition plan in 1947. So it's clear that President Biden is right. The terms that have to be agreed by the two parties in order to achieve what everyone knows is the only durable, stable, and fair solution, which is a state for each of these two peoples, indigenous peoples, in the Middle East, in Palestine and Israel. Please.
Mr. Joseph, also wanted to get your thoughts on this. We've spoken about the pressure that is there on Israel. It is isolated. You agree to that as well. Do you feel these kind of decisions coming in from other Western nations put some pressure on the US also to agree or to get to that point of agreeing to a two-state solution at the earliest?
No. Not really. I don't think so at all. We see that the Biden administration is engaged in an intensive diplomatic effort with Saudi Arabia, trying to produce an approach, a diplomatic solution to this terrible war in Gaza, of course, launched back on October 7th by Hamas. And it's Hamas, of course, that has cheered this news of this decision by Ireland, Norway, and Spain. And we should remember here, one other point that is critical for your viewers to know, is that at every juncture when there was progress towards peace, including, ironically, in Norway, the famous Oslo Accords between Israel and Palestine, it was Hamas that sabotaged those positive efforts moving towards peace with violence. And here we see violence launched by Hamas, and Hamas is the one also cheering this and claiming this, taking it on as a victory, even though Ireland, Norway, and Spain say, oh, it's not about that. So inevitably, those are the dynamics. And no, to answer your question, no, I don't believe that the United States perceives any particular pressure. The United States, President Biden, Secretary of State Antony Blinken are engaged diplomatically very intensively, trying to produce this breakthrough with Saudi Arabia and Israel that would lead to a dramatic, realistic perspective for a Palestinian state. Please.
Tensions still continue to escalate in the larger West Asian region, of course, with Israel and Hamas at the core of it. Here's hoping that there is peace at the earliest. Thank you so much for joining in. That was Edward Joseph joining us from Washington, D.C. Always a pleasure speaking with you, sir.